Noticing his look, Maya slightly smiled, giving away her thoughts. James mentally sighed, both from feeling so fortunate to have such a woman by his side, but also the fact that they'd be taking what was obviously an error so seriously. Since we didn't see anything, it's possible that whatever James thought he saw was able to escape from being detected. Mim looked at each of them. Or it was just a mistake. James mentally rolled his eyes as he kept his thoughts to himself. What do you want to do? Raul asked. Should we change how we move? Sam nodded. I think that's reasonable, considering it might be something we are unable to detect, even with Celine out in front. It may even pose a danger for her. James looked in the direction that the elf should be, scouting ahead. He wondered if she knew that they had stopped. Taking into consideration Sam's words, there was a feeling of concern for Celine. Raul had also looked in the direction of where his half-sister was located. I think it's good to have Celine in front, but it's also true that there may be hidden threats that we're unaware of. Mim nodded as he put things together in his mind. Sounds of movement made James's eyes widen. Mim turned and said, Glad to know that she's unharmed. James looked at Raul and then at Celine, quickly making her way towards them. Though this time, the look on her face made clear that she knew something had happened, and she was coming towards them quickly to find out the situation. That's fortunate, Peter commented. Kate nodded in agreement. When Celine reached them, she asked, What happened? Her eyes searched their faces as though trying to discern the situation. I thought I saw something, but ended up being nothing. James wryly smiled, hoping that his honesty would help the situation not turn into something bigger. Mim looked at James before directing his attention to Celine. That's what James believes, but I think it may be something more serious. I'm glad that you're back, since I think it'll be better if you're closer, compared to what we'd normally do. Celine looked at James with a raised eyebrow before returning to say to Mim, It's probably good for me to be closer to the group anyways. Oh? Mim asked, eyes widening slightly before relaxing. Nodding, Celine said, Remember how I reacted before? Mim tilted his head slightly. I keep getting the feeling as though I'm not alone, and it's different from the pressure that's felt with whatever is following us. Celine clarified. Taking a breath, likely to calm herself, she continued. Due to that, I find myself on constant alert, more than what's normal, and often it'll make me imagine things. Raul was quiet as his half-sister was sharing her thoughts with the group. As James was listening, it just added to the sense that things weren't supposed to be the way they were. He tried to remember past requests completed inside the forest, and there hadn't been anything similar. What do you think? Maya whispered. James shook his head slightly, indicating that it wasn't the right time. Hearing Maya's whispering, Celine's eyes flickered to look at the two of them before she looked again at Mim. I think it makes even more sense to have you within sight from now on, Mim said after taking in what Celine had said. Based on your experiences and what James thought he saw, he corrected himself. I can't just dismiss this as just nerves. There's also the fact that we haven't encountered anything in days, aside from what we actively hunt. Slowly, James looked at the forest behind Celine, not moving his head, but still taking in their surroundings. An ominous creeping sensation couldn't help but be felt. Is whatever out there watching us right now? James couldn't help but think to himself, there was no point in mentioning to the others. Even if such words were shared, they'd have no ability to stop it at the moment. The question is whether whatever's watching us is connected to the forest, or whatever is causing the monsters to act strangely across the world. James wondered.